So the plan was like for me to be the kind of underwriter, finance guy, capital raiser in SF, and Dylan was going to be like the boots on the ground, like deal finder in Atlanta. Senior year, I heard on all these podcasts, oh, this market's hot, the Southeast is hot, Florida's hot, and like, multifamilies, yeah, just no like real data, no real science to it, and wanted to better understand what made a market hot. So I put together this big Excel spreadsheet that just looked at like 30 different of the top kind of multifamily gateway markets, and across 30 different like metrics, whether it's the simplest being population growth and job growth. And that was when I was starting to get good at Excel and really kind of did a lot of conditional formatting just to like see trends and better understand from a numbers perspective, I see why this is an attractive market. We decided on Atlanta. Dylan had just moved there from San Diego to move in with his uncle or something. And he had started a meetup that grew pretty fast. That's one great way if you want to just get in front of a lot of people and really position yourself as a thought leader. We thought about starting a podcast ourselves together to get more credibility. There's tons of ways to do it. I'm not the expert on that, certainly. But point being is I was imagining to do this part-time, like, oh yeah, I'm going to hustle at Mosser 50, 60-hour weeks and then somehow find time to underwrite deals that Dylan is finding and sending me. And then we're going to raise money in the interim. Thankfully, I'm actually glad that didn't work out. I realized a few things. One, that it's not buying market rate multifamily all over the US is not necessarily my most ideal real estate investment company. If I was just to dream up, like, what do you want your real estate investment company to look like? For a few reasons. And two, I don't think we would have been successful, to be honest. I know we're both young hustlers that want to like get shit done, but like I kind of said a little bit ago, like I really discounted the experience and the industry experience and like the skills. I didn't realize how important, and Tom Bilyeu talks a lot about how important skills are to actually, they allow you to do things. They allow you to, simply put, they allow you to do things. So I realized how much now, after a year and a half, 2 years in the industry, how much I didn't know back then that would have just cost me a ton of money. Like I don't see how we would have been successful, to be honest, unless Dylan just bossed up and did most of it himself, which, he's only a year or two older than me and didn't necessarily have much more experience than I did. So I'm glad I
just want to interrupt you because I think it's really important. I couldn't agree more. I've been with Toro now almost 4 years, which is crazy. And, the amount I've learned over those 4 years has just been crazy. Things I don't think I would have known or learned without making the mistakes that would have probably hurt deals. And the mistakes probably would have been larger because we've made mistakes. Every investor, every investment group makes mistakes. It happens. But it's mitigating those risks and, being able to pivot and act accordingly. So I totally agree. I think I've learned way more than I think I probably would have through those experiences in a much quicker time frame, unless somehow I was able to raise, this crazy amount of money to go out and, go buy the same number of deals and do it on my own. However, I think because I had less track record and, similar to you, less access to capital, that would have made it significantly tougher. So I think it's interesting to hear. I do think I would have been able to make it work. But I think it just would have taken a lot longer, a lot slower. Would have had to live at home and do things like that. So probably very similar to you. I was just like, didn't really want to live at home, kind of wanted to, live a life a little bit and, get the experience on the side. So for me, it was also invaluable. But yeah, I think you can definitely go and do it yourself. I just think, especially being young, but not having a huge track record, the ability to raise a ton of capital quickly is not easy. But the ability to raise small amounts of capital early on, I think, is very easy. Well, pre-coronavirus, obviously now it's a very different environment, but there was, a ton of capital out there that was looking for real estate, that was looking for multifamily deals, that's willing to take a chance on, young guy or girl who's a, hustler and looking to make things and do good things.
Yeah.
I think almost anybody with enough time, dedication, and persistence can raise a little bit of money.
Yep.
But I think to really scale, that takes a lot more experience, track record, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Really, how I used to think was, of course, I'm sure everyone wants to be successful as soon as possible. I thought I would love to. I realize it's going to take 3 to 5 years to really, any business you start, at least that amount of time to probably do well, depending on a lot of things. But I was like, I would love to crush it in my 20s. I would love to be a principal in my 20s, and it's certainly still possible. I'm 24 now, but my old thinking was well, if I don't start early, 21, 22, I won't be able to really get there. I won't. It'll go slower. Or I viewed it initially if I go work for someone else for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then start a company, it's going to be, my path will be a lot slower. Now what I realize is I think there's a kind of a perfect medium. I realize now if you go work for someone for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, get essentially all the hard skills that 90% of the hard skills, and really learn the business. Big key is not on your own dime. You'll actually be able to go farther faster. It's about building a bigger foundation, about a bigger house that is your skill set, your network, your understanding of the business, etc. So I personally think, after just thinking about a lot and kind of analyzing different people's stories, and the big real estate guys, how they achieve success, almost none of them, unless they just inherited a ton of money and learned the business from their dad, which I didn't have, probably most people don't have, is they went to go work for someone that was doing almost exactly what they wanted to do, if not exactly what they wanted to do, for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I think the happy medium is at the associate level after 4 to 6 years. I personally think you get enough skills, and I've seen it at least at Monster, of associates that are in their late 20s, or mid to late 20s, that understand the business almost better than some of the VPs that are in their mid 30s, and even at points the CEO in his 40s. So there's no perfect formulated path. Everyone's got to do it this way, but I really think going to go work for someone else for at least a few years is will really take you further faster, when it didn't seem like that for myself.
So I think the foundation that you can lay by working for someone is, it can lead to exponential growth. I say it all the time. I didn't do it, right? And, I didn't go to college. I went to college, but I did not go to college. I went to a small school, Queens College. I didn't go to the major institution. I wasn't, the social butterfly in high school with a million friends, and, networking was not my forte. I happen to be good at what I do, but it takes effort for me to, at a networking event to, talk to people. It's not just second nature, right? I have to consciously think about it, but I joke around with people all the time. And, I'm on the record on this podcast all over the place saying, listen, I'm not a big believer in college, but the thing that I also say behind that is, listen, if you use college to the right degree, whether it opens your mind or you meet the right people, and it will put you in the right positions to get that experience, that's what I think it makes the most sense for. If you go to college and think just because you graduated from Harvard, whatever, you're going to be a billionaire, it doesn't necessarily work that way. Having those doors open help dramatically, but it's what you do when the door is open. I didn't work for anybody. I sort of looked at it the other way. I was a commercial broker, and I looked at it the other way by saying, wait, why am I splitting my money with this guy? They're not providing me with anything. So unlike you guys, I went the other route. But I think that, going back, would I change anything? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But if I know what I know now, starting, I might have picked a different path of, okay, hey, let's go work for this guy. And, what I joke around all the time is, when I meet somebody and I see what they're doing and it's something I want to do, I basically look them in the eyes and say, listen, whatever you're doing, I'm going to do it better than you, because I'm going to work harder than you. And that's not, I'm not smarter than you. I'm probably dumber than you. But if I see what you're doing, I'm going to do it more. And I can speak to the other side of the coin, and a 100% agreement with both of you guys that, for the right person, not being, the front line and the head of the, head of the show. If something goes wrong, it's 100% on you. What you can pick up and the tips and the tricks working for a larger company, and not, we are not a large company, right? We are, we have a good time, but the way that you've gone about it, I tell young kids looking to start all the time, listen, you can be the CEO day one, and you can do really, really, really well. And you could be, the richest person in the world. Or take the back seat, get that education, get paid to learn, and fine tune your skill, and then go out. And, there's a million companies that breed people like us, right? There's, a ton of construction companies that, you work for them 5 years, 10 years in, and then you go on your own, you start your own construction company. Or you work for a multifamily firm 5 years, 10 years later, you start your own company. And it happens all the time. And I always recommend to younger guys, and I'm only 33, I'm not 20, but, I didn't have anyone at 20 saying, hey, go work for this person. And if I did, I mean, my parents tried, but I was hell bent on, no, I'm going to figure it out on my own. And luckily, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I think the approach that, Chris has taken and that Chris's have taken, I truly believe as a younger guy, whether you partnering with Dylan or not, and I love Dylan, good kid, you're going to cut your teeth and get punched in the face way more on your own dime. And listen, that's why, 3 years into it, you might be saying, fuck this, I'm going to go do something else. But when you put the good foundation down, I joke about it all the time, you can build any house you want. If your foundation is solid, you're good, right? That house could fall down, break, crumble, whatever it is, but you're going to be able to rebuild it. Whereas if you're not 100% sure, that's when shit happens. So I think that the honesty, knowing that I want to work for a company and build it, is something that people have to look in the mirror at, because everybody wants to be Warren Buffett, but nobody wants to put the work in to do it. And that's where, knowing that I'm going to go work for this guy and learn is super important, because you could pay any coach, any mentor, any amount of money. It does not mean it's going to work. If you go work for someone and get paid to build, you're going to have a much better base coming out into the real world. So I think it was, it's good to know that. And for someone that did not do that, like I said, I wouldn't change it, because I am who I am for what I've done. But at the same time, if I was as smart as I am to now, and that's just this much smarter, I probably would have maybe changed something. But it's good to be aware of that. I think knowing that from a younger guy getting in the real estate world, whatever it is super important.